It's time for a quick shout out to some of our friends. The Old School Mini Bikes and Parts Facebook group. The Strictly Vintage Mini Bikes and Go-Karts Facebook group. The All About Mini Bikes Facebook page. Genuine New Old Stock Vintage Parts. The Vintage Snowmobiles podcast. And the Muscle Car Show and Tell podcast. Ben Thomas is your independent AMSOIL dealer. Click the link in the description for your free AMSOIL catalog, or scan the QR code to earn the deepest discount by becoming a preferred customer. To advertise with Ben's Vintage Mini Bike podcast, the Vintage Snowmobile podcast, or the Muscle Car Show and Tell podcast, please reach out to Ben or Mike for more information. Details in the description of this video.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Vintage Mini Bike Lovers podcast. I'm really glad you could join us. I'm really excited about tonight's show. This is the first episode, first live show for the season. Boy, we've really been slammed with some snow here in central New York, and I've been really digging out. So it's just one of those things where I hope we can get through the show without too many technical difficulties. We've already had some technical difficulties, and it's really nice that we can get a bunch of people. I'm seeing the comments really flood in, so we're going to be putting some comments on the screen as we go through just to say a few hellos. And I've got so many people. George Ackerman, I see, is joining us. Thank you, George, for being here. George's got an event, Moto Barn. BCDJ Vids is here. Good evening. Is that it for comments already? Oh, my goodness. I thought we had a few more stacked up. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Excellent. Thank you, George, for being here. Thank you, Vinny, for being here from the Vinny's Minis. Appreciate you showing up. Ed Kubia is here. Thank you very much, Ed. Appreciate that. We've got Bill Demko. Hello, Bill. I'm not sure where you're viewing from, but thank you for being here with us. My good friend Whit Pearson is here. Thank you, Whit. Quick shout out to George, Whit, and Ed, as well as Keith Zebrag. Those guys are all supporters. Got a couple of other guys that are supporters. Hey, Keith, thank you for being here. We're going to be getting some of these Ben's Vintage Mini Bike Lovers t-shirts out. Rich Shad is here. I saw Rich. We had a vintage mini bike or a vintage snowmobile ride earlier today. We were actually promoting the podcast. So that was kind of fun. We have a couple of new viewers hopefully joining us. From PA, thank you very much, Bill. I appreciate that. So what we're going to do is we're probably going to bring our guests in, and then we're going to have some streaming of the comments as we go along. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Rob Hilditch, our co-producer and our AMSOIL guy, and he's been big supporter of podcasts. And I'd like to give a special welcome to our live guest, Greg Castillo. Thank you very much for being here, Greg.
How you doing?
Great.
Glad
How are you
here.
guys? Excellent. Appreciate you doing this a lot. How have you been, Rob?
I've been doing a lot better lately. Had a knee replacement about a month ago, and I'm finally out walking around.
Yeah, well, we're going to find you that vintage mini bike. I think we're going to get you a moto skeeter so that you can start coming to some of these events.
I want an Arctic Cat.
Oh, you want an Arctic Cat? Well, I think we're going to be seeing at least one today. I know Greg has an Arctic Cat in his stable or two, and hopefully we'll get a chance to take a quick look at that one. We've got a big show planned tonight here with Greg. We're going to be talking about a lot of things. And with regard to the schedule, we've got a lot of conversation with Greg. We're going to talk about several things. First thing I'd like to talk about, Greg, if we could, is where you are right now, Skidmark Garage. Tell me a little bit about that.
All right. Skidmark Garage is a community garage in Cleveland, Ohio. It's basically you buy a membership. You can get as little as a month, 3 months, 6 months, or a whole year. And you basically bring your bike in, and we will assist you, but we're not going to fix your bike for you. You have to do it all yourself. It's all hands-on. Like we have some parts, like if you needed actually a lot of stuff we get donations of, here, take all my old parts, and some guys need a seat or they need takeoff parts, so we have that stuff available for free if you're a member. And it's every tool you ever need to work on a motorcycle, and we have a full welding shop, we have a machine shop, we have tire changing machines, lifts, every kind of, we have even Wentworth tools for British bikes. Everyone's working on something different, from brand new crotch rockets to old Triumphs. And I work on mini bikes. There's a few people that work on mini bikes here. Basically anything with two wheels. Although we have had some sidecar bikes, so.
That's really cool. I like that set you have set up behind you, and you got a couple bikes back there. We'll maybe get a little quick look at those later on in the show.
Yeah.
Those are some of your favorites, I believe, right?
Well, yeah, they're on the stage because Wednesday I'm taking them over to the museum for the mini bike show, and I just kind of wanted to get them out of the way so they're not, they're in the lounge right now. They're not in the shop where they're all getting dusty. So.
Yeah, so that's really quite an outfit. How big is that facility there?
Right now we've been in this spot for a little over 3 years, and I want to say it's 10 or 12,000 square feet.
That's amazing. Really.
And we have, I think, what's that?
What's the hours and the days you're open?
The hours?
For members?
Well, if you're a member, you can come in anytime you want. We give you a code to the door, and we show you where the lights are, and
wow.
You buy a membership and you bring your bike in here. You can work on it. If like we had guys that would work, first, second shifts, third shifts. We have people come in all different hours of the day. So if you're a member, you can come in whenever you want. But business hours, if like you needed a shirt or if you wanted to check it out, is normally like 9 to 5 type deal.
That's amazing. What's a membership roughly cost? Any idea?
Well, let's say you needed to do like small tire change or something, or a small little fix on your bike. You can get like an hour for I think like $25. It's if you need to weld something, fender broke, you needed to tack weld it up, $25. You can go weld it up. But a month is $180. I think 6 months is $900, and a whole year is $1,500. But right now we've got so many people that have donated bikes that like they need work. Some of them have titles, some of them don't. We're doing a thing where if you buy a membership, you get a bike. It's not pretty, right? But you get a free bike. Some of them have titles, some of them don't. But if you're looking to, hey, I want to join, but I don't have a bike. We have a couple here that are projects. And in fact, one of our new members bought a full year membership. He already had bikes, but the enticing part was we had someone donated a Virago, a Yamaha Virago that had a title. I think it had a couple electrical demons in it, and the gentleman that owned it passed away, and his wife basically just donated it straight to the garage. So instead of selling it outright, we said, if you buy a membership, you get this bike, but you have to fix it. You could sell it, but
right.
Fix it. It's the fun part.
Where are you getting a fully equipped shop for, a rate like that?
Well, there is a couple around the country. We are definitely the largest, and we've been somewhat expanding, and this will be the 10-year anniversary this year of Skidmark Garage being an entity. Like I said, we've been in this building for a little over 3 years, and the previous building that we were in was, I wouldn't even say half the size of this, and we outgrew it within 4 or 5 years. So we are definitely the largest community garage where you can come and just work on your own bike.
Yeah,
I don't own the shop. Brian Schaffer owns the shop, and he's a teacher. He also teaches with MotoGo, which is a mobile shop. They bring a shop class back to high schools. They take motors and bikes, basically Honda CB350s, CL350s, and teach kids in high school how to wrench, and how to build these things.
That is amazing. I think that's such a great model, and I'd seen some of that on the Skidmark Garage Facebook page. So I'd invite everybody to look up Skidmark Garage, look into what they do. It's really a great model, I think.
And even right now, like in 2 weeks, they're doing a benefit because MotoGo is a nonprofit, and we get people donating bikes and stuff to that as a nonprofit organization because it's all for kids. It's all to literally take motorcycles and put wrenches and tools in kids' hands because high schools anymore, they don't have shop class. There's too much liability. So MotoGo is its own thing where we take the shop class back to the schools. And actually, the funny thing about it, I've taught at a couple of the MotoGo classes, and the girls are like way more into it than the boys, which is kind of funny. But in 2 weeks, they're doing a big benefit, a fundraiser for MotoGo, and they actually have, I forget what year it is, like a 2008 or 9 Harley Davidson Road King that they will be raffling off, and you don't have to be present to win it. And I forget what the tickets are. They're not that much, but it's a riding Road King, beautiful.
Wow.
And I think there's also a Husqvarna bike that they're going to raffle off. And it's all to raise money for the nonprofit.
That's really cool. Rob, do you have any kind of model like that in Canada?
I never heard anything like that. I've heard of people with the hot rod clubs. They rent a shop, all their club members. I've never heard something like that. That's great. You do that with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so
Get the
important.
kids off the street and get them to learn something. Off
Exactly.
the computers.
Well,
Right.
and it's funny because, like, even the shop, like I said, we have a full machine shop. Some of the specialty tools, like a metal lathe and a Bridgeport, we have, but we don't just let anyone, hey, go mess with the Bridgeport, because that's a dangerous tool. So, but we actually teach classes. One of the members here that works for MotoGo, his name is Steve Noble. He also teaches welding classes and carburetor classes, electrical classes, teardowns of V-twin motors. So the garage itself is more like a whole big learning experience. And like I said, when you bring a bike in here, you have to do the work. No one's going to build it for you. So it's basically a big learning facility, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. That's
Where
really
are you
neat.
located again?
What's that?
Where are you located again?
Cleveland, Ohio?
Cleveland.
Is that what you're asking?
I would encourage anybody near the Cleveland area to look into that. That is a really cool model.
Yeah, there's been a few of the members. I mean, I'm pretty much friends with everyone on, a bunch of the Facebook pages. And Ed Kuby's a good friend of mine. He comes in all the time. We've done a bunch of deals. Keith, who's done in Youngstown. Yeah, we've done a bunch of deals. Real good guy. Jim Cool, he does the Lily Danes. He's down in Akron. There's actually a bunch of great people that are around the Cleveland area. But, most guys, they have a couple bikes and they do the stuff in the garage. It's like as many bikes as I have and as many ideas as I have and projects that I want to do. It's like if this place didn't exist, I couldn't do what I'm doing. So,
Yeah. Now, you mentioned the 10th anniversary, and I think when we were talking backstage, there's a anniversary event on May 17, was it?
Yeah, May 17th. So it's a Saturday. Skidmark, like I said, I think the actual anniversary of the 10-year mark for Skidmark, I think is in June or January. I'm not exactly sure, but May 17th, we're having a big, it's going to be all kind of motorcycle show, but we're going to feature mini bike. Like I have a mini bike show, and we're also going to have a big swap meet. So mini bike swap, motorcycle swap, any kind of motorcycle related stuff you could sell. Like we don't want people bring in like tables of knickknacks or candles, but it's just gonna be more all motorcycle related. We're gonna have food trucks. We already have a bunch of food trucks that are signed up for it. We have a couple bands that are signed up for it. Ice cream trucks, like it's hopefully the weather is going to cooperate with us, and we're going to have a great turnout. Even if it doesn't, if it's raining, we have a gigantic, like I said, 10,000 square feet inside that we're going to have all walks of and it's not just, choppers or crotch rockets. We're going to open it up to like mini bikes, mopeds, scooters, anything with two wheels. And it's going to be great. It's going to be a show, and it's going to be a swap, and it's going to be great.
Excellent. And I know you said there's a flyer for that, and we'll make sure that we put that on this page, and we'll share that around on some of the other pages.
Brian, they're getting ready for their MotoGo benefit in a couple weeks. So the flyer, I think he just put something together yesterday for it. So, but there's going to be more to come, and a whole Facebook page, and we'll have flyers with QR code that if you want to actually. I think it's going to be like maybe $25 for like a 10 by 10 swap meet space. But like I said, we're going to have like, who knows, maybe a couple thousand people here. So it's going to be our whole parking lot, the inside. the side street we're going to block off, and then the back street that goes Hamilton that runs on the back is it's all industrial around us. So it's not like there's a lot of traffic. So we'll have bikes and vendors lining the streets and have the streets blocked off. So it'll be real nice.
Will people be able to ride around through the event?
Yeah. Brian was actually talking about having people kind of ride through the shop. And we kind of said, nah, not ride through the shop. But yeah, you can ride, like we have a parking lot and on the street. Yeah, you could ride no problem. I mean, we are going to ride around the street. We do it all the time.
Nice.
You know, even I think I posted on the Instagram a couple of weeks ago. It was snowing, and I put together a bike, and one of the boys, I let him take it down the street in the snow, and he's ripping down the street with his helmet on and everything.
Awesome,
So
awesome.
that's what we do.
Well, I want to give a shout out to Mike Lapierre. Now, normally Mike Lapierre would be on the air with us, but Mike is having a little technical difficulty yet. He's behind the scenes. So I really appreciate everything that Mike does, not only on screen, but off screen as well. He does a lot to support this podcast. And, I did mention earlier the Vintage Snowmobile podcast, and this is a great time to give some plugs for those. And this is what's going to happen. Mike and I are going to be struggling with the controls because he's backstage and I'm not. So this is the Vintage Snowmobile Lovers podcast every Thursday night. It's on like 8 different channels, including his own channels, my channels, and also my son has the Benedict YouTube channel. So it's not only the Vintage Snowmobile Lovers podcast, but he also does the Muscle Car podcast on Wednesday nights. And, it's really just a great community of these podcasts. And we really find there's a lot of overlap, especially between muscle cars and showing mini bikes and snowmobiles and showing mini bikes. And that's really what it's all about, is the community. And you find out through things like this, how many guys you just mentioned. I haven't met most of those guys in person, but I'm friends with those guys, and you get to know more and more people in the mini bikes. And it's really invaluable, because when you're working on these old bikes, to be able to find the correct parts or the right tires, you got to have a pretty good network. And so, you have an awesome network of friends that have helped you with some of your builds, I know, and you help a lot of people as well. So
yeah.
That's
like
really
the one guy, Jim down in Akron. The way I met him was he was looking for some double-headed Carlisle Indian tires for his little Indians. And I go, hey, I got a couple, So we made a deal, and he came up to, my place, and we talked. Really nice guy. He's got some really nice bikes. Ed, same thing. He, I forget if he needed a frame or he needed because he's bought a bunch of frames off me, and he's bought. I've sold him some motors, and I bought some motors off of him. I just bought a really nice mini bike windshield off of him, and Keith down in Youngstown. I bought it and sold stuff to him. There's just a great community, but like you said, most of the times when you meet these people, it's just at a show and it's a one-day thing. Like, because up in Michigan, there's a different crowd. Some of the guys that do like the drag mini bikes. I'm sure there's guys still restoring bikes. But most of the time it's just online. You find a guy that goes, hey, I have this bike. I'm looking for this part. And with online stuff, I've, run into the whole, well, are you a scammer? Am I going to send you money? You're not going to send me the part. Well, here's my phone number. Call me. I'll talk to you on the phone,
Yeah, it's hard to break the ice on that. And I had that same problem when I was starting to sell some of my dad's inventory.
Right.
Right. You mentioned Ed Kubi's. Ed was one of the first people that bought, and he said, if people need a reference, I'll be happy to do that for you. So he did, and I really appreciated that. Greg, what got you into mini bikes in the first place?
The kid across the street, when I was probably 7, 8 years old, maybe a little bit older, the kid across the street, his dad built him a mini bike, and it was like a Briggs motor. I remember that. Little box frame. I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you what kind of mini bike it was. It was no shocks, and a Briggs motor. And I begged my dad. I was like, "Hey, I want one, or I want a go-kart or something like that." And he always said, "You'll kill you hurt yourself real bad." And and like the internet wasn't really around until later when you could get on Craigslist and just type in search for mini bike for sale. You'd have to actually go on or go into paper or search for ads for, and I didn't know anything. So it wasn't until high school when I got my first frame, and I was all excited about it, but I never had a motor for it. It was just a roller, and I painted it. I made it really nice. I made a seat for it, and I would literally just push myself around the garage with no motor because I was like, one of these days I'll get it going.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, my dad never let me have them, so I was like, now that I can afford them and I can, work on them, and I said I'm gonna have as many as I can.
Well, I want to play a video of the opening that you sent me, because you sent me several videos, and so let's cue up this first video and watch that.
Hello, Mini Bike World. My name is Greg Castillo, and this is a little bit of my collection. I'm going to be submitting some pictures and some video of some of my stuff. Yeah, this is my house where I have some of my good stuff. We could start by, well, there's some little tractors. This one is more of like a race tractor I did. Little Pinto. This is a 1958 Fairbanks Morris riding lawnmower. This here is a 68 Bonanza with the Hodaka. This is all original except for a new seat cover and brand new tires, chain. It's all been gone through. This is one of my pride and joys, my Hiawatha Doodle Bug with the Hager kickstart. All custom seat, custom floorboard. That's a very nice bike. The next one, this is a kind of a funny bike. It's a Manco Trail Cat, but it's actually a recreation of the very first mini bike I ever built, which I sold, but then I found another one and I remade it exactly almost like the original one I did. This here is a MB200 Bonanza. It's kind of custom with the Fox Racing wheels off a go-kart, a little Honda motor. This is a Bird Zapper, all original, except for new tires. Original decal tank, motor, seat is in gorgeous shape. I have a few of the Fuji Go Devils. All of them run. The only thing that's been replaced on them is like the hand grips. You can see there. I restored this 1972 Rupp Roadster 2, which I do have the title for. It runs perfect. Even has the headlight with the speedometer in it. Little RCF micro bike with a 79cc motor. Two of my pride and joys, the Little Indian with the original 63 Lawson motor I got from Ed Cubies. I actually got almost the whole bike from Ed. And that one's signed by Ray on the pull start, which won first place at the Old Mini Bike Show a couple years ago. And my Little Indian Rat bike, which was actually also signed by Ray and Regis this last year.
Nice. What do you think of those, Rob? Anything catch your eye?
Well, there's a lot of names I didn't recognize in there. And he had one, and then he had two of them. Did the handlebar?
Yeah, the Fujis, the fold up. Tell us about those, Greg.
Go a couple more shots.
Oh, the Go Devils?
Yeah.
Oh, so those ones there, the front forks fold in?
Yeah, it's the ones that fold up. If you go back a little further, Mike, it was the ones on the table, the three.
Yeah. So the Fuji Go Devils, I actually, little red and white ones.
It's kind of hard to stop the video, so he's going to play with that a little bit. There we go.
There you go. Yeah, a little bit.
Yep.
There you go. So the Fuji Go Devils, actually the one that's the one that's on the furthest to the left on the ground that's all open. I bought that at the Portland, Indiana Scooter Show, and I spent so much time trying to get that. It would idle, okay? And the guy's like, yeah, it ran great. And because I like anything kind of weird, and this was way before that, these things started selling for a lot of money. I spent, I think, a whole day cleaning that carburetor and trying to go through it. And I found out that a lot of people have had problems with those Go Devils running. And I tell them that the carbs, the way they're designed, there's a little O-ring on a little a venturi that goes down into the bowl. And there's a little O-ring on that. If that is not seated correctly, it'll suck air and it won't run right. And it took me all day to figure that out. But when I figured that out, I was like, man, these things run great. My daughters love them. I let them ride them at the Portland, Indiana Scooter Show. So I had to, when I found one, I had to get another one. Then I found another one. Then I found another one. It ended up, Ed just brought me a frame for one and a rear wheel, you know, some pieces, parts. So I kind of accrue parts when I could find them, because they really are fun little bikes. I mean, I have pictures and video of me riding around at different shows. I actually have 4 that run and a lot of parts for them. And I have 2 bags. And actually one of the bags I got from Ed, and then one was an original one that's all beat up. But just to have the bags is really nice. And those 3 that you see there, the only thing that has been changed on them is the fuel line and the grips. The tires, the seats, the motors, everything, paint is original. Some of the floorboards have cracks in them, but it's like a thin plastic. So they're all original and they all run. They're fun.
Very cool. Very cool.
And you haven't won an award with those yet? They look really neat.
What's that?
You haven't won an award with one of those yet? They look really unique.
Well, I think I'm actually going to put a couple of those in the Crawford Museum too on the display. Because the owner of Skidmark Garage, Brian, he actually has a Fuji Go Devil. And when I was telling you about the carb, at our old garage, I was like, hey, you know, like, how does that thing run? He goes, it doesn't run. So I took the carb apart. I was like, oh, I'll mess with it for you. And I took the carb apart and found out that someone lost the little piece because it threads up into the carburetor, but it sits down in a bowl. It's a little brass piece, or that has a little O-ring on it. Now, someone could probably make it if you had a copy of the original, but it's like a little tiny, 1/8-inch little tube that has a threaded piece, and then where O-ring goes on. And if you can't find that part, your carb's never going to run. So I ended up, one of the guys on one of the pages, his name's Steve Jacobs, and he's up in Grand Rapids, Michigan. He found me an NOS carburetor, an NOS pull starter, an NOS points and condenser, an NOS chain, NOS, like all this NOS parts for a Go Devil. And this is, like I said, before they started going for a lot of money. And I think I bought everything, the carb, the pull start, all this NOS parts for a Go Devil for like $125 shipped. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll take all that stuff. So I still have some of it, and I put the carb on it, and the thing ran great. It still does run great.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. There's a lot of good comments about the Go Devils. People are really digging those.
Mm-hmm. They're fun. When you ride them, I mean, they look like they're tiny and that they're, uncomfortable. The steering's a little weird because the way the front tire sits, and the way the bars, they kind of like, you almost kind of hold them at like an angle just because of how they fold into the frame. But the seat itself is a gigantic, nice padded, wide seat. It's very comfortable. The rear shocks actually work really nice. And the tires themselves, they're kind of hard to find because they're a 5-inch, but they're a 530, like a jumbo 5-inch tire, which I don't think they remake those. I mean, you can buy a 5-inch tire, but it's not the same roundness, same kind of pattern.
Which brand do you recall?
They're pretty. What's that?
Which brand were they? Do you recall?
They're Nittos from Japan. Because so there was a company that Centaur made a folding. I wouldn't say it was a mini bike because it was more like a mini cycle because it had 6-inch wheels. And it was an American made, the Centaur, the folding Centaur. It had plastic panels on the side that kind of opened up, and it had a Clinton motor. Everything on it was like made in America. Even the tires were Goodyears. So the Fuji Go Devil, it's all Japanese. The tires are Nittos. Little Chinese carbs, everything on them.
Right. That's pretty neat. So, how deep in are you on mini bikes? Like some people are like this deep, some people are like this deep. You're like about up here somewhere, aren't you? And towards towards that end,
Well,
let's cue up another video, and we'll see.
let's just say I
see some
spend,
more.
all my time at this garage, and then I go home and I sleep. No,
Well,
it's
you know what? Life is good.
I
I mean, if that's
well,
you know,
so the one bike that's behind me, this is a 71 Z50 hardtail that is stretched 5 inches. And I put a big motor, made a cafe bike, did a bunch of custom stuff to that. This one here, I put it. I took it down to Georgia, and it was on display at the Barber Museum for the small bore rally that happened last year, and it's stuff like that you have to submit your bike, and they only chose 12 bikes. The year before they chose 30 bikes. Then it was like less, and that bike got chosen. I took it all the way down to Georgia, drove all the way down there. Like, I'm into it, where it's like I didn't even care if I won. I mean, it would have been nice, but there was builders from all over the country, and a couple kids. The one guy was making gas tanks out of like titanium. Like, that's kind of like where I make parts, but like this kid was like, he was doing his own anodizing. He was like really like going above and beyond what you kind of normally do. But like, that bike came out great. But I go to all the shows just because I enjoy going in there, seeing what other people have, riding around. That's the fun thing. I took a couple of bikes to Barber, and they've got 1,000 acres of trails in their woods. And I took one of my CT70s and just ripped through the trails the whole time while everyone was, riding around where the track is, and they have a little swap meet. I was in the woods riding around, That's what cool. I do. I go enjoy that stuff.
Well, it's really awesome that you're able to not only really get into them and really appreciate the art and the craftsmanship that built them, but you're really taking some of these to the next level.
I plan my whole year on what events are going on. Like, I definitely go to the old school show up in Michigan, because that's just fun to see everyone, see what's out there, see what other people are building, and just show off some of my crazy stuff. And the one bike that Ed saw it, he came in a couple days ago, and he saw this one. I'm working on a Ruttman washer frame that I had. It's kind of all blacked out, and I had a 3.5 horsepower motor that I restored at Tecumseh that was all blacked out. So it was going to be an all black Ruttman washer frame, because I have the original seat, which is black. I wanted an all black mini bike, something really cool. And it was pretty much done. And then one of these guys that I'm working on a bike for, I'm kind of putting some stuff together for him, building some custom stuff. He goes, "Hey, I've got a couple of West Bend motors. Are you interested?" And I go, "Absolutely." And he sent me a West Bend motor, an 820, and it's gorgeous. And I said, that motor needs to be on this black bike, because the focal point will be the motor, because I already took some of the stuff off and polished it. Everything's aluminum on it. And so that bike, there's a couple of custom things that I'm hoping to have that bike. I'm pretty sure I'll have it done for the Michigan show. But if I showed it to you and showed you what I was going to do, it's kind of like one of those, you're not going to make that. And I'm going to make it happen. So
nice. Well, I want the viewers to know that we're going to do some live show and tell at the shop with Greg later on. And so we're going to be really looking for some comments. If you're seeing anything, Greg has a lot of the bikes that you might see on the video at the shop. He's got a bunch of other stuff at the shop. So as we go through this, if there's something that you'd like to see, please put it in the comments, and then Mike will keep track of that. And then when it comes time for the live show and tell, we'll kind of go around
and I will
see some stuff.
So I brought in a couple of things from home, just as if anyone wants to see what's a part that someone's looking for, what someone thinks is a rare part, I could probably go get it right now in the shop.
Well, on my end, it's such a low-level item. It's the 7-hole mufflers everybody wants. Are they rare? Yes, they're rare because people can find them, but nobody will let them go. That's what makes it really hard, right? So like you talked about Jim Cool and the Carlisles, there's people with the Carlisles, but not many people like yourself are willing to say, you know what, I'm going to give these to this guy so he can do the build. So I respect that greatly, and that's really awesome.
Well,
let
me ask you this.
Jim was really looking.
Let me ask you this, Ben. How many 7-hole mufflers do you want to see right now?
I don't want the viewers to fall over, but
5?
I
could
wouldn't
probably
be a bit
produce
surprised,
4.
Greg, if you could show me 20 NOS ones. That would not
Oh,
surprise me.
I don't have any like 20 NOS. No, I don't have. I've got a bunch of them, but I don't have NOS ones. I mean, the
All right.
NOS ones in the box like years ago, and I remember when the old school mini bike show was it was part of the bicycle show, and it was at a different location years and years and years ago. There was a guy, and I remember he had a box of the NOS Taylor mufflers, you know, like the chrome, the long kind of mufflers, you know, like he had them on in a box, maybe like, I want to say maybe 10 of them. And they were all NOS, they were unused. And I go, what do you want for them? He goes, $15 a piece. So I bought them all. I still have a couple of them. You know, I put some on bikes,
Yeah.
but that's the thing. Some of this stuff I will let go to if someone really needs it. But most of the stuff goes on some of my builds. You know,
Mike Time said he'd like to see Kickstarters, so I'm sure that's an easy one for you too, because I know you're into the Kickstarters.
does he want to see a Hager Kickstarter, Fairbanks Morris, or Tecumseh?
Well, we'll have to get Mike more specific, but let's roll that second video and we'll talk on the other side.
Hello, this is Greg Castillo from Cleveland, Ohio. I'm here at Skidmark Garage, where I do most of my research development and working on mini bikes. I'm going to show you a few of my favorites, a couple of crazy builds. I don't know. I'm going to turn the camera around here. This is first a 1969 Honda Z50 Silver Tag, all original. It even has the luggage rack, but what people don't know is they actually made freeway bars for these things. You don't ever see them, they're not reproduced. I actually have a couple sets of them, NOS, never used. It's another hardtail that's got a bigger motor, billet rims, kind of a fun little bike. This is my actual street bike. It's got a 140 Takagawa rims. It's a real Honda HRC tank from Europe. It is a knockoff of a Honda, but most of all the parts are Honda or changed up, upgraded. This is a 1970 hardtail I did, cafe style, all built up. It's a 108 stroker motor with the 3-speed Takagawa, aluminum rims, everything I customized, stretched the frame 5 inches, 1965 C110 tank, custom pinstriping. This bike right here was actually at the Garage Brood show in Cincinnati. It was at the Small Bore Rally in Alabama at the Barber Museum. It's been all over, and pretty soon it'll be at the Crawford Museum next year on display. This is another one of my acquisitions. It's actually a 1968 KO slant guard with a CB CB 160 motor. That one, I'm not done with it. I actually have a title for it. It does run, but I'm going to do a little modifications to it. The one that I'm building right now, it's a crazy build. It's a stretched 1970 Z50 hardtail with 10-inch wheels, 180cc twin 2-stroke Yamaha motor. Yeah, a little bit of customization, you know. But that's some of the Hondas that I have.
I've got to see video when that thing goes down the road.
Oh yeah,
Rob, what'd you like there?
That might be one of those bikes that, like, I mean, because that motor did run. I mean, I took it out of a running bike, and it was fast. It's kind of scary, but so when those old Yamaha motors, you need a battery, and there's points of condenser. But there's a company, PVL, that makes an electronic ignition that you kind of delete the battery, you delete all the lights. It's like a racing upgrade. It's an inner rotor, so you take the big flywheel off, you take the points of condenser off, and you'll have spark for days, you know. So that takes about 20 pounds off of that motor because it weighs a lot. So that thing, it's maybe one of those bikes that kind of scares me to ride, but I'm definitely gonna ride it.
It's cool. It's definitely cool. Rob, what did you think? See anything there you liked?
Oh, I like that cafe style. I wonder if you happen to know what is the record for the 6 horsepower mini bike at Salt Flats.
Well, that's a good question.
What was that? What did he say?
What's
is
the
the
record
record
for a
for
mini
mini
bike at the
bikes
salt
at the
flats?
salt flats?
Obviously, there would be different classes,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
so there's
my
different
buddy's going
classes,
down with the
and
car,
I know.
and the mechanic's
I
taking a
thought,
6 horsepower down with them.
yeah, there is a picture. I think the guy did 109 on a mini bike laid down. Well, that one right there with the red, white, and blue tank, that's my street bike, and I ride it all over town. I ride it on the freeway. That thing will do 75 miles an hour the way it's geared.
Wow.
And if you look underneath the tank, you'll see a steering stabilizer that's off a Suzuki GSXR 600. That I put that on there because it's 75 miles an hour with 8-inch wheels. You get a little bit of a wobble on the freeway, but the tires are Heidendaus that are rated for like 90 miles an hour. The Takagawa rims are thicker aluminum, high speed bearing. Everything on that thing is made to go fast. And for a long period of time. Like I said, I ride that on the freeway to work sometimes.
Must get a lot of looks.
That's very
Yeah.
tastefully done.
Listen, 8-inch wheels on the freeway is kind of scary, but when you're riding next to a semi truck and the guy's looking down at you and just kind of like perplexed, like, what is he seeing? And then you're passing him at 75 miles an hour. He's just like, maybe I'm seeing things. I don't know.
Yeah. Like, what was that? Never mind.
Yeah. There's another guy, Nick Costas, who built a couple of 2-stroke Honda Z50. He built a couple soft tails. He hasn't built a hardtail yet, but he has a bike that has the 140 motor in it. We ride around town a little bit. He has some really nice 2-stroke customs, and he loves the 140. And I told him, I said, that's a pretty bulletproof if you're going to ride it every day. It's not real wicked. It's still got a ton of power. The way if you gear it the right way, you'll get 75 miles an hour out of that thing. They're pretty stout.
That's
because that bike that little bike, I think I've had 2 or 3 different tanks on it, different seats on it, different wheels, tires, exhausts. But the 140 motor, I think I have probably a good 5,000 miles on that bike.
Wow.
You ride
No
that.
kidding.
Maybe even more because the speedometer is actually in kilometers, so I'm not sure exactly what the translation over, exact number.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Now, you mentioned the Crawford Museum. Mike, throw that graphic up really quick. This is really neat. I want you to talk about that. All right. And then we'll put the graphic back up again. So tell us a little bit about the Crawford Museum. You've mentioned it a couple times. This is an opportunity where people can actually have their mini bikes on display in a beautiful museum.
Yeah. So it all started when the garage, I think it was our grand opening, and we know a couple of the characters from like the Crawford Museum that are like curators or they're involved in the Crawford Museum, and it's a big aviation, automotive. They even have the original carousel, I think, from Euclid Beach that you can go in there and ride around, like the big, with the horses and everything. They have that on display in the big window, and they have airplanes in there. They have a lot of cool stuff. And so they had brought a 1914 or 1917 Indian motorcycle to our garage just to put on display at like one of our grand opening parties. And so they had seen some of the mini bikes that I did. And last year they had a Corvair display all summer long. And they had asked, hey, can we put a mini bike in the display with one of the Corvair trucks? And I said, absolutely. So I sent them a couple pictures, and they picked out the one little Indian that was white with the red seat, the blue motor. So when I went to go pick it up, and everyone loved it. And I had people like messaging me, hey, did you see this bike? And I was like, I'm going to ask who it was. And I looked at they put up a little, description of it. My name was at the bottom as, this is owned by Greg Castillo. And I was laughing because I got people texting me, hey, did you see this bike at the museum? I said, look at whose name is on it, But when I went to go pick it up, they said, hey, we're kind of interested in hearing more about some of the mini bikes and some of I said, listen, there's a lot of, especially in Ohio, companies that were started in Ohio, like Rupp, Mansfield. Speedway was started by ex-Rupp employees in Mansfield. Even Huffy mini bikes are Dayton, Ohio. Holder was a Cleveland I would say it's a mini cycle, but mini bike, made in Cleveland. And a lot of people, I think there actually is going to be a Holder mini bike on display at this event. And it's basically, they had asked me to find a few people that either have like a restored bike or non-restored bike, something nice, original, nothing new. They want vintage. They want to show off, some like the history. And I said it'd be really cool to have like some speedways. I had talked to Buddy Baker about putting a couple bikes in the museum, and he was excited about. He wanted to maybe put in. I don't know if he has the original bike or he has like one that's restored, like when he was in the Rupp advertisement. But he wanted to put one in there too. So it's basically going to be from May to October, and there's I forget what the guy's last name is, Thomas, and he's up in Detroit, Urban, Michigan. He has a really cool Barris Super Stalker, I think it's called, and a Taco that he sent me pictures of, and I said we would love to have it on display at the museum. Ed Cubies was going to have a mini mate that he has. I think it went to Keith down in Youngstown. So I had talked to Jim Cool about putting one of his little Indians in the museum. But if anyone wanted to send me pictures or send me information like, hey, I've got this bike, I want to put it on display at the museum. It'll be in the museum, fully insured, from May to October. And it'll be on display. Like I said, the little cafe hardtail that I built, that's going in there Wednesday, just so they can kind of generate. And right now they have a Mustang display at the Crawford Museum. So it's all Mustangs, Bosses, every kind of model you could think of. And when the Mustangs move out of there, it's going to be all mini bikes.
That's super cool.
So like I said, if you wanted to, my email's right there. If you wanted to email me or message me on Facebook, and let me know if you wouldn't mind loaning out one of your nice bikes, a vintage bike that's, maybe out of the ordinary, something kind of odd. I mean, some of the bikes that I'm putting in there is I'm putting in my my Bonanza that you saw in the first video, that the Hiawatha Doodlebug, the blue custom one, the cafe bike is going in there. And I think I'm putting in maybe my Rupp, the 72 Rupp, and the Bird Zapper. And because like the Little Indian has already been in there. And the Rat one, I kind of want to ride that this year, so.
Nice. Well, I think it's an awesome opportunity. You would actually give me a little video clip to promote it. And I know I'm going to put something together for that. And
yeah.
we'll make sure we plug that. So you are the direct point of contact for that. We'll pop the graphic up another time later in the show just to make sure, and I'll post it on the my site as well.
Okay.
We just lost Rob. I was going to go into our Amsoil promotion, but I'm not sure. It looks like Rob was having a little technical difficulty. So we'll double back on that, and we've got a little more video we will consider right now.
Okay.
So stay tuned for part 3.
This is the pile of parts, bikes, and projects that I have going. Some of this stuff does work. Some of it's just parts. This is Skidmark Garage, where I also have a bunch of my good stuff and parts and running bikes. There's a couple things I've been working on and still working on. This right here is one of my favorite acquisitions, a Globester. I think it's 1954. It's an all aluminum, cast aluminum frame. And I actually have 2 of those. The one body, or the one frame, is currently right there, kind of buried, but I got all the parts for it, except for the body. There's a bunch of Honda parts. This is all my parts and stuff that's waiting to be messed with. A little hardtail I built years ago. There's an old Chrysler Snow Runner, basically just bought for the motor. One of the coolest things is this Sills Motor Sales. They're a local Honda dealer, so whenever that thing was bought brand new, they bought it at Sills. It's one of my favorite builds. Is a little Probe 3 pedal car. It's automatic. There's a bunch of different Rupps, Bonanzas, Hondas. There's a Bonanza. Trans Van. I see Bonanza, Rupp, Bronco. I do have a 61 Radio Shack Versacart right there. Parts of a Go Devil. There's another Rupp Enduro 1971. There's a couple more Bonanzas, a couple more Rupps back there, a couple of Hodakas. Yeah, a couple fun things. It's all piled up. This is all stuff that's waiting to be either messed with or I've been just redoing it. There's a funny car body I accrued this past winter. Yeah, so some of the parts, I've got tons of parts, seats, wheels, everything. This garage allows me to build whatever I want. And most of this, like I said, is running. Some of it's just parts. Some of it's waiting to be built.
That's pretty amazing, really.
Yeah. Well, listen, I hope my wife's not watching. No, and it's funny. I thought of a smart man once said, this place is where some of my dreams become realities and my realities become dreams. And Willy Wonka, because it's like some of the stuff that you saw, I don't know, I forget when I took that video, but some of the stuff that you saw there, the one Bonanza that was like right in front of me, that I've since stretched 5 inches and turned it into a drag mini bike. There was a little red David Bradley hood that since I have modified a mobility scooter, painted it all, and it's so a lot of that stuff that you've seen there, it's not like, oh, that's my stash of junk that like one day I'll do it, but
X-Nay on the mini bike A's. X-Nay on the mini bike A's. Tara Castillo is watching.
Oh, hi, honey. No, yeah, like I said, I have a lot, and there's a lot at home too. But like I said, without this garage, I really could, do what I'm doing.
Greg does not have anywhere near the amount of mini bikes everybody else does.
Well,
Mrs. Castillo.
I know guys that have more, but few and far between.
Rob, we're having a little technical difficulty. You've been bouncing in and out. Everything on track?
Yeah, I lose my sound, so I go out and come back on.
Gotcha. When you are ready, we're going to do that
Quite a
AMSOIL.
collection you got in that garage of parts.
Yeah.
And do you have everything inventoried?
I got everything.
That's a yes.
Yes.
Now that's Chrysler Snow Scoot, the Snow Runner.
Yeah.
At the vintage ride earlier today, there was a gentleman riding one.
Yeah.
And he was going to do the full ride. And I kid you not, I would not. And I ride bikes. I would not get on there because it just looked like I would need outriggers to keep myself up.
What a lot of people don't know, and I found out with those Chrysler Snow Runners, is that it has a West Bend 820. And the way that they're designed, those things had so much compression that, and I've heard this, I don't know for sure, I haven't taken that motor apart, is that they doubled up on the head gaskets to lower the compression on those things. And because if you see videos of those things running, they just seem like they're putting around real nice and smooth. When you see those West Bend 820s on like go-karts, they're flying, I know it's just a little track, but yeah, I don't know if I'd trust, the little track and, no. It probably wouldn't do good in deep snow, but,
We were on Groom Trails today, and he was doing really fine. And I've seen this gentleman on it before. So he was planning on doing the whole loop, which would have been around 25 miles. But unfortunately, his other sled that a buddy was riding decided it didn't want the piston it had anymore. And so he had to get out with his group early, unfortunately. I don't think he was running AMSOIL. I think that's the problem. I haven't confirmed that yet, but
I hope he didn't tow the other snowmobile home with the scoot.
No, I don't believe so. No. Rob, when you're ready, we'll put you full screen and we'll talk a little bit about AMSOIL.
Sure thing. AMSOIL is big in synthetic oils. It's one of the only synthetic oils around where you can go 25,000 miles or 1 year between oil changes. As high as 25% better gas mileage. And in the wintertime, it pours at 6 below zero. But in the summertime, it'll run 20 to 50 degrees cooler. Every 10 degrees you drop the temperature, doubles the life of the engine. But for the small engines, mini bikes, lawnmowers, stuff like that, you don't want our top of the line oil. You want our, where'd it go? Small engine oils. It comes in 3 different grades, 10W40, 10W30, and a 5W40. The reason you want the small engines because the older vehicles have cams, lifters, and rockers. They need zinc. And in the new modern cars, they took all the zinc out because it would fill up the catalytic converters. So you need an oil with high zinc. Amsoil still has a product great for those small engines, high zinc and all that. And if you're not running it all the day and it's sitting, don't forget to add stabilizer. 1 ounce to 2.5 gallons. This says it's good for a year. I've tested it and we got 2 years out of the gas. It's still good. We're going to keep the gas and see if we can get 3 years out of it, see if it's still good. Makes a big difference. So a lot of times, if you want to click on the link down below, they can send you an Amsoil catalog. In the catalog, we have the prices of the Amsoil products, how much it retails for, and a preferred customer. As a preferred customer, you save 25%, and they'll ship it right to your house free. Amsoil has anything over $49 free shipping till Wednesday, I think it is. And then they'll have another promotion on. But anybody who wants to know how to become a preferred customer, how to buy the oil directly, click on the link right on that page and use Ben's number. That way it helps this broadcast every time somebody orders something off Amsoil through Ben. Your turn, Ben.
Okay. And so, yeah, people can contact me directly. And the neat thing about this is I'm signed up under Mike LaPierre, who's signed up under Rob. And so we all benefit. And there, this is not a get rich scheme. This is not, but it does, the commissions are a profit sharing arrangement with Amsoil. So the customer is not spending more. You're getting a high quality oil at a good price and we benefit. And so it goes directly to support this podcast. And same is true with, the Muscle Car podcast, and people can contact me directly. So thank you very much, Rob. I appreciate that.
Gary, have you ever tried any?
I'm sorry?
Has Gary ever tried any? Any Amsoil?
You mean Greg?
Greg?
Oh yeah.
Greg,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I've tried it. Yes. Oh yeah. And it's funny because like a lot of the 2-stroke stuff, we've used that products. And like I said, I've not really been like big on the 2-strokes, but getting more into those, I guess. They got a few of the Hodakas. Yeah, a few of the Hodakas that
I got like the 200 Black Max for water skiing, 100 to 1. We got the 50 horse on the pontoon boat, 100 to 1. The 99, 100 to 1. This chainsaw, weed whacker, stringer machines, everything 100 to 1. What a perfect.
Yeah, we were talking today. A lot of guys, that run the, race type sleds are using the Dominator, but a ton of guys are using either the injector oil or the Interceptor in sleds. That's very common in our area that people are using it. And this idea that there's a myth, somehow it's not good for vintage sleds or vintage engines, and it's just not true. I encourage people to really look into it. If there's questions about that, get some science. Don't believe the hype and the myths about all that stuff.
Yeah.
So we've got quite a bit still to do, and we are coming up on the top of the hour. I cannot believe how fast time has really gone, but I do want to see another video, and then we'll maybe do some show and tell. So let's run the next video that I have, and this is really a cool piece. So I'm curious about it, and I know you've got it there in the shop.
Ben from Cleveland, Ohio. Another one of the coolest things I've ever built. I got this off of Casey Gillum. One of my favorite things. It's a old carnival ride that basically just got as a shell. Now it's actually running and driving. The power plant is actually a 1986 Honda TRX 200, 5-speed with reverse. Built the whole chassis. It's got some aftermarket or reproduction of the 8-inch Bonanza wheels. It's got a live axle. The seat is actually out of a 1964 Ford Thunderbird. The steering wheel actually came out of my 65 Econoline at a spring special. That's the shifter. It does have reverse. Everything's been custom painted, pinstriped. Super rat. I'll show you the engine actually. Gas tank. Built all this stuff here. It opens up just like a regular thing. There's the TRX 200 motor, and it's basically got like a jack shaft setup, basically down to the live axle, and it electric start or pull start. The lights do work. Tail lights. Let me turn them on actually. Here, all the controls from the original four-wheeler are here on the dash. They light up. Your neutral, your switches, and all that. There's the headlights. And the taillights. It's one of my favorite builds. It actually will be on display at the Crawford Museum next year. There will be a whole mini bike display, and they want this. I'm going to put a mini bike on the back of it and display it for everyone to see.
Nice.
That's definitely it's a fun one to take to shows, that's for sure.
That'd be
But it's
one of a
big.
kind.
That body, yeah. Would that be a one-off or what is it exactly?
So it started life as like one of the carnival rides that kids would sit on, and it went like a merry-go-round. It went just in a circle, and there was the steering wheels were just like, they didn't control nothing. It was for kids to sit in. It's a really heavy-duty, like real super thick fiberglass. So there's no actual frame. I had to make a whole frame for it. The body was just, it was two pieces put together. You could see the seam down the middle. That's like where it was, fiberglass together and everything else. There was gold seats and benches in it that kids would sit in. I had to do away with that because it couldn't fit in it as an adult. And like I said, I got it from Casey Gillum. He had bought it at a swap meet down in Texas. And he was down there, and he sent me a picture of a trailer full of stuff and he always finds really cool, interesting stuff. And he's like, "Yeah, I found a bunch of cool stuff down in Texas." And I said, "Like what?" And he sent me a picture of the trailer, and I was like, "What is that truck?" Because I had a 65 Ford Econoline Spring Special that kind of resembled, this. And I said, "I want to build that." And I knew right away like how I wanted to do it. I didn't know how it was going to turn out. And it was just a shell. Like I said, I had to modify everything. The only thing I didn't do on this thing was the pinstriping and the like around where the headlights are, and it looks like the Econoline grill lights, like that's painted on. But everything else I did.
Super cool. Really super cool.
Yeah, I had that at the Portland, Indiana Scooter Show a couple years ago, and I was riding it around there, and everyone loved it. It just brought a crowd of people and guys going, "Hey, how much do you want for it?" And I said, "Well, listen, my name is painted on this thing. It's not for sale, but it is big. It's I think 7 foot long, so you definitely need a trailer. You need a trailer to take it anywhere."
That's kind of deceiving because honestly, in the video, it doesn't look like the wheelbase would be that long.
It's the body itself is pretty long. I mean, it's big, because you can see that seat is from a full size, a Ford. What did I say it was?
Thunderbird, yeah, full size car.
Yeah, Thunderbird. That's a full size car seat, so you could see how big the inside of that is. There's room on both sides for a car seat in that picture,
Yeah. That's a good reference point, good perspective. That's really neat.
So that was my winter project about a couple years ago.
Now, thank God you have some storage space because, the average guy is not going to be able to store that and mini bikes.
Well, and actually, like I said, it's that they want that at the Crawford Museum to put on display. And I have, I think that in the previous video where you saw the little teal colored RCF Micro, I put that on the back of the truck on a little stand. So they want to put that on display too.
Oh wow!
So nice. It won't be in the garage for long. It'll be in the museum all summer long. But it does take up some space. But I'm trying to make some space at home so I can get that out of the garage and take it home.
Viewers will pick up on the reference you talked about next year being at the museum for that and the bike. And that's because you had actually sent me these videos before the new year because we were talking about having you on. And unfortunately, our schedules did not work out where you could do that. So I didn't
Yeah,
have it.
yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't think it was relevant, but
Yeah, it was
we'll
last
make
year.
sure
And like I
I'm
said,
hoping we get several people doing this.
yeah, like I
stuff.
said,
It's
some of
really
that stuff in the one video of all my other projects, some of that stuff is done. Some of it's in the process of being done. So what you saw is like frames. Now they're done, you know.
Yeah. Do you really plan out your builds like well ahead, or just like as the spirit moves you? Kind of, how does that work?
Well, there's been bikes that like I've had done, like the little gold bike that you saw in the video at my house, and that had a little 2.2, a little G100 Honda motor in it. When I initially bought that, or when I initially restored that bike, I put in a little 79cc Predator, and I said, you know what, that's too new. I want something vintage to put in there, a small motor. And when I found that Honda motor, I'm like, it's a vintage Honda motor. That might be like pretty neat in there. And so I put that motor in there, and I redid a few things on the bike. And then I brought it down to the garage, and I was riding it around the street and riding around the garage a little bit. And I was like, I kind of want to put that Predator motor back in it, but I want to do something to the Predator motor. So that bike, even though it was done, I redid it, and then I redid it again, and now I'm redoing it again. So it's sometimes I just get like, oh, I found this, I'm going to put it on that. I'm going to redo this. Some of the builds I kind of plan out. That two-stroke hardtail Z50, I kind of put that on the back burner to finish up some other stuff. Right now, it basically just needs paint, and it's all disassembled, so I could paint it and put it all back together, and then it's pretty much done. But one of those that I was real gung-ho for like a month. I was cutting and welding and finding this and buying the electronic ignition and finding all these pieces. I really did a cool thing with the brakes, how I kind of, I could show you, I can grab you one of them. I have an extra one, doing just a bunch of custom stuff to it. And then like for a whole couple of weeks, I was really hot on this build. And then I was like, okay, it's going to the side because I got to finish some other stuff,
Yeah. Now, in the time we have left, and we're a little over time, but I think we'll spend the next 10 minutes or so doing a little show and tell. And also, right. I want to have Mike check in and put up some of those comments. If there were some questions that we want to pose to Greg based on some of the comments, we can do that now. But also what the viewers wanted to see. George Ackerman is bringing up the Moto Barn show Saturday, April 26th, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. In Virginia, Rutherford Glen, Virginia. That's a totally free event, and he's hoping to have a lot of mini bikes on display there. So George has an awesome setup at the Moto Barn. And
I talked to George, and he sent me some pictures of his collection, and it's really nice stuff. Really nice stuff.
It is awesome. And in that vein, I want to give a quick shout out to Joe Abadi at the Vintage Motocross Q&A. Joe really does a lot to promote my podcast, and so I'm really great to have his support in that. But every time Joe has guests on his podcast, they really talk about how mini bikes were the genesis for motocross, right? And so many of the riders, the early riders had started on mini bikes, and that's what's really cool about it. And people, have a mini bike story.
Exactly. Look at John Lennon had a Z50 hardtail that sold, I forget how much, crazy money. Everyone kind of started off on mini bikes. I mean, that's where it starts. When you're a kid and you're tinkering and you're like, and one of the funniest, real quick, I'll not trying to get sidetracked, but and this has always just stuck with me as like a cool, like, if anyone has ever a problem, how many people have pulled and snapped their rope, their pull start, and the rope snapped? How do you start your mini bike when you just got a regular centrifugal clutch? What do?
Well, you have to jam the clutch somehow, don't you, and push it?
Yeah, you stick pennies inside the clutch. where the bell is and the weights are, you can just get a couple of pennies in there and lock it up, and then bump start the motor. The pennies will fly out, and it only costs a couple of cents. Seriously, I learned that as a kid.
Jam your pennies right in the edge, right?
Yeah, right in the edge. If you ever break your pull start, or let's say you're too cheap to get another or fix it. Sometimes some of these pull starts, like the newer ones, you could, buy them anywhere. But if you just have a regular cylindrical clutch, you want to start your mini bike and your rope's broke, jam some pennies in there, bump start it, and they'll just fly out. It's not going to hurt your bike at all. That's one of those things I've learned and taught a couple people, and like amazed that it works.
You just taught me something. You know where I thought you were going with this? I thought you were going about how great mini bikes teach kids real practical skills, and that's what you learned growing up, right?
It's physics. It works. And I see a comment, cycle scoot mini bikes. Is he talking about a moto scoot?
Not sure, Mad Dog. Can you clarify? Maybe, I don't know if he's talking about that Chrysler type, because there were several varieties on that theme. Clinton had an all-terrain bike, ATV. Mark Mariani saying pennies are a great idea, so he learned something new too.
I have a 1948 moto scoot. That's the one that has like it's almost like a hump, like a camel's back, in the back where it's like a trunk where the gas tank is. I have one of those. It's real rusty, but
yeah. Mad Dog is somebody that watches the Muscle Car podcast and also the Snowmobile podcast. So he might, I'm not sure if he's talking about the similar bike to the Chrysler Snow Runner or not, because there's a couple of variations on that theme, other companies.
Yeah.
Well, let's switch gears and we'll do some live show and tell. I didn't really see the comments of who wants to see what, but you've got some things right there. So
yeah, here I'll show you. So I'm just gonna take the phone and walk over here.
Yeah.
So the one thing so when you saw it, I was showing all those parts. They're all behind there on a second level, and I'll just kind of walk over here and just show you behind the curtain.
Yeah, behind the curtain, right?
Like
wow.
up there, you could see. Yeah. There's boxes of parts, there's seats, and there's bikes, and I can go up there right now and show you kind of some of the stuff. I'll take the express elevator. Got an electric lift.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So right now I'm on the second little level thing that and there's a stage where I was behind there sitting down.
Gotcha.
So you could see the one Bonanza frame that I had in there. Now I don't know if you saw it. It was right by my feet.
Yes.
There it is now. It's all stretched out, and I got a Predator Ghost in there.
Oh wow.
Like I said, there's that little pedal car body thing I did. Boxes of seats, all different kind of parts. There's that. I don't know if you can see it. There's the old bike, but the moto scoots underneath all the other stuff over there. What was I going to show you? Here. Yeah, I want to show you. So I had in the one video, you could see a little red David Bradley hood that came off of like a tractor. What do they call that? Like the sickle mowers, or whatever. And if you go back in the video, and I'm not saying you can go, people can kind of rewind the thing. So it was like a little red hood. It was kind of on the ground. And I'll show you what I did with it. So you can see this. This is it's a mobility scooter, electric mobility scooter that I basically took the body and I turned it into see it there.
Oh yeah.
And I kind of painted it. My buddy's got a Shelby Cobra, and I kind of made it almost like a kind of recreation of his, but it's just a little electric mobility scooter. I don't know if you can see the dash there.
Yeah.
And because I made another one that's a rat rod one. You can see this one.
Oh yeah. Wow.
So, and that windshield I got from Jeff Mihalko at the last mini bike reunion. And so on the stage, this is the hardtail Z50. That one's going into the Crawford Museum on display. And someone wanted to see a Kickstarter well, how about there's the Doodlebug with the Hager Kickstarter. And Ed Cubies was good enough to get me an original box.
That's
One of the coolest things, this bike was actually on display at the Old School Mini Bike Show a couple of years ago when I did it. And one of the coolest things I had, there's a guy that I know that does those epoxy tables. And so he did this wood with the epoxy, like the river tables, you know?
Oh
'Cause
yeah.
I did not have the original floorboard for it, but there's the Hager Kickstart, you know. And I tell everyone, like, a lot of people want the Kickstarters. They're really cool to display, but one of the biggest things I tell everyone is when you have a Kickstart, the Tecumseh motors that they bolt onto were designed to pull up. They're gusset on the bottom of the motor. When you put a Kickstart on the motor, you're putting all the pressure on the three little bolts on the head with the real thin metal. So a lot of times, if you don't have a good motor that starts up and you kick too hard, you're going to rip the blower housing right off. So I said, if you want to display a mini bike or a Kickstarter on a mini bike, that's cool. If you want to actually ride it, just put the pull start back on so it'll save your blower housing.
It's a good point.
But I'll walk around the shop a little bit and I'll show you here. There's a Super Rat truck. And this is kind of like my everyday where I build on my crazy stuff. And I said this, there's the two-stroke 180. Like I said, it's all basically ready for paint. There's another RCF that I'm working for a buddy, kind of putting some custom stuff. That's a Rookie 500 motor. And I'll show you something really cool. Like I polished a few things on it, but I was trying to figure out what I was going to do for a brake. And I found this little disc brake that's going to go on the jack shaft. And I got a nice little Rupp caliper from like a 68 Rupp that I'm going to make a mount for that and do that up.
Oh, nice.
And one more thing I wanted to show you, like I said here, this is behind me, the shelf of tires and projects. That's a Bonanza chopper up there. There's actually right there, let's see this thing. Right there is an all original Huffy. I forget what model it is. It's the all purple one. One of the members, it's actually not, that's the only mini bike that's not mine. Okay, that one. But one of our members, he's an older gentleman, and he got that when he was 8 years old. And a couple of years ago, he pulled it out of his attic, brought it down to the garage, cleaned it up, and it started right up. But it's all original, and he only rode it for one season. And the tires, gorgeous. The whole bike is gorgeous. That's another one that I wanted to put in the Crawford Museum. This is the one that I want to have done for the Old School Mini Bike Show, and I'll just kind of show you a little. That's the Ruppman washer frame that I had. It's powder coated black. The wheels are 58 Fox Go Boy wheels. They look like little Go Power wheels, almost like the Bonanzas. Those are Jumbo General tires that I got from Jim Cool. I think I traded them instead of the double-headed Indian things. But yeah, the West Bend 820, and I did a little polishing on it. I don't know if you can see this here. I polished up the exhaust, some of the pieces on it, but it's not done. It's not done. One of the coolest things I want to do, and it's going to happen. No one's ever seen something like this, I think. But I think it's going to be really cool. Going to my parts. So I was at a surplus place, and I found this, and I thought it'd be really cool. Let me see if I can get this here. So this is a stainless steel float ball thing. I don't know. It's all stainless steel. But I thought, how cool would that be to make a gas tank out of it for this bike? So they make a stainless steel bung for oil tanks that you could weld on. So my thing is, I think with that West Bend motor and then the round ball gas tank, either on top or someone. That's, like I said, that's the original seat. Just needs a little fixing, a little stitching. But I think that's going to be a nice little showstopper. I literally have, this is a shelf of motors. There's a West Bend 580. There's a built 79cc. There's a restored 3.5. There's a couple of Hodakas there. There's Tecumseh. I got plenty of Tecumsehs and Tecumseh parts. There's more Hodakas on these shelves and restored. I don't know if you can see these restored Tecumsehs here ready for bikes. And then, like I said, all those tires up there. And like I said, I hope my wife's still not watching. And then there's another pile of tires, wheels, everything there. So I just can't, like I said, I do stuff with this, I build these bikes. I'm constantly working on this stuff. And even so the little 79cc motor, I just got this. I've never really wanted to spend $200 on a flywheel, but got to have these kind of special parts when you run no governors on these motors and you don't want them to implode. So one of the cool things about the shop is that so when I took the motor apart, we got a Bridgeport. So I took about 20 thousandths off the head, which I don't know if I created a time bomb. I don't know. But I could show you our little welding area and our machine shop. Like I said, this is where everyone's working on stuff. There's Ethan in the background. He's working on his bird Nighthawk. Like I said, I know we're going over time, but
no,
so there's
it's super fascinating to me, Greg.
Like I said, there's our machine shop there too. Yeah, it's fully here. We got a whole welding area, and our Bridgeport is underneath a cover over there. So it's basically, if you wanted to build anything crazy, we've actually had guys buy memberships and just use the metal shop to weld or to. One guy wanted to build a tube frame for his race cart or his hot rod. He wanted to build a whole tube chassis. So we got pipe benders and we got welders, and he brought in the whole schematics of how he wanted it. And he did that. And that, he just bought the membership. It was $180 a month. So it was cheaper. He did it all himself rather than paying someone thousands of dollars to build him a roll cage for his car. So
it's super creative. You are a super creative guy, and to have all those things at your fingertips, really, it's not enough. You know what I mean? Like, having the right tools is not enough. Having the right parts is not enough. You got to have the guy that can really, meld all that together. And
right.
I'm in awe, Greg.
There's, like I said, I go to every show that I can, and it's more or less to see what's out there, but also, like, if I find anything cool, and I don't care what it is, it's a cool fender or a cool tire or a cool part of an exhaust, I could use it, or I'll figure out something to do with it and put it on something that makes that project just that much more.
Quite an evolution. Rob, what do you think about that? I was watching your smile as some of that stuff was coming across the screen.
I've never seen somebody with that many parts. Huge.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have bikes that if you don't have parts for them, they're big paperweights because, there's a couple bikes that people aren't making parts for. I mean, the Hondas, you can get any kind of reproduction part for. Those kind of big, people restoring them or people, customizing them, modifications. But trying to find parts for a 1970 Italian, the Yankee bus. I actually have two of them. You're not going to find.
I know you had two of them.
Huh?
How do we know you had two of them? Not just one, but two.
How do you know?
This?
No, I was thinking only two.
Well, Okay, so at the Portland, Indiana Scooter Show, guy shows up, and I've had a bunch of them before. There's a local guy. His name's Bob, not Bob. His name Bill, and he's in Kirtland. And I actually bought that gas tank, which is a Yankee Boss gas tank. And if you could see, it's Swiss cheese. It's really bad. See that?
Yes.
The only reason I bought it was because it has the gas cap on it. The gas cap is impossible to find. But I will show you on my shelf right behind the open sign.
Oh, wow.
There's two Yankee Bosses.
Nice.
Now, a lot of people don't know, but these look like the same bike. They're both different models.
Huh.
And I can show you real quick. You'll notice this one right here, 12-inch wheels. This one right here, the fender's on. They're just kind of sitting on there. This one has 10-inch wheels. This is the Yankee Super Boss. This is the Yankee Boss. The Yankee Super Boss has a 55cc motor. The Yankee Boss has a 50cc motor. Why they did two different models like that, I don't know. But both of these have been on the shelf for a while. They're pretty much all complete. And they're sitting next to there's a Coleman, the 2.40 little Sax motor. You know, those are kind of one of those days I'll get to it. But I actually have all the literature for those things too. I think it's right here. Yep.
While you were showing that, Mark Mariani says he'll sell you the third. It's a small wheeled bike.
The third what?
Third Yankee.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We're happy to put buyers and sellers together here on the Mini Bike Podcast.
So, I pride myself on having pretty much every part out there, and also literature.
Wow.
You see that parts catalog. So when I saw that one had different size wheels, this was, before I really knew anything. It'll tell you this is straight from Yankee Boss, the whole parts catalog. Where is it? Yeah. If you could read this, I'll see if I can get it in there. Is it backwards?
No, right there. Hold it.
Okay. See how it says 10-inch, 50cc, 12-inch, 55cc. The Boss and then the Super Boss.
Yeah.
Why they made two different models? The difference between a 50cc and a 55cc, I don't know how big that is. The motors kind of look different. The 55cc one has open fin head, and the 50cc one has more of like a enclosed kind of thing. But this is an original, parts catalog with all the breakdown and stuff. I keep it
Very cool.
just because I also have here. I also have the mini bike guide with the Yankee Boss.
Nice.
So, yeah, I have here. There's the Christmas issue. There's the drag issue. This one actually is the mini bike guide with the purple Rupp Roadster 2 on the cover, but it's missing the cover. It's missing but this is the edition with that one. There's the mini bike guide at the SL70. Like I said, this one with the Yankee Boss on it, though, it's kind of cool having both models because in this mini bike guide, they give you the whole breakdown and the whole they do a whole test drive of the bike itself. And it's like, these are pretty kind of rare. Like I said, try finding pieces for these things. They just don't exist,
Sure. Well, we are at that time where we need to wrap it up, but I am again in awe, Greg. It's been really awesome.
Yeah, like I said, if anyone has any interest in the mini bike museum, putting their bike on display, you can reach me at my email. It'd be great.
Yeah, we'll make sure that again I put it up on the on my pages. We'll post it around and contact Greg directly. This is an awesome opportunity to have your bike on display. So please reach out to Greg either through Facebook Messenger, or you can reach him at rarebikes@yahoo.com or rarebikes88.
Yeah, Red 88. And I'll see everyone at the Michigan show. That's gonna be a fun time.
Yeah, I wish
can't
I could make
wait
it out there. It's about 11 hours for me to get out there and back, and it's really a busy time for me.
Yeah.
But let's have some closing comments and thoughts. Rob?
Greg, you're a world of knowledge about the mini bikes.
Yeah. I've been doing it for I've been doing it for like 30 years now. Or no, well, yeah, about 30 years.
Awesome.
I didn't see any of the Arctic Cat mini bikes.
Oh, so the one I had the Arctic Cat Climber, and I sold that to a really nice gentleman at the mini bike reunion in Windber, and it actually was for his wife. I do have another one, but it's in pieces. And actually, when you said Arctic Cat, I was thinking about this. It's right on my bench. The Arctic Cat Climber tank.
Oh yes.
Oh,
Like
nice.
the tank's been hanging up on my bench for I don't know how long. So I have parts right now. Like I said, I last year I sold the last running one I got.
Well, there
Very nice
was an Arctic Cat Climber complete in the individual photos that we never got to see, but we did see most of the bikes that were in those individual photos.
Yeah, because
So,
what's that?
Wrap up. What do you think? What do you want to leave our viewers with?
Nothing. Like I said, I enjoy this, and this is basically all I do. I used to work at a machine shop, and I'm kind of still a musician, but that's kind of taken back seat to working at Skidmark Garage and building mini bikes. And I just do it because I love it,
Nice.
I like helping everyone out with piece parts and like some of the younger kids that come here and they want to learn about bikes. And the one kid, Ethan, that's working on this Nighthawk, he literally didn't know there was such thing as a bolt-on Kickstarter. And I said, well, listen, I mean, if you want to buy a nice one that works and, you're going to fork out some money for them. And I told him, I said, they're not always the case. They're not always, worth it because of actually how they work, But like I said, I do this because I love it. They say, what's that saying? If you do what you love, you never work a day in your life,
That's right. That's right.
But I've been doing it too long. So that's it.
Well, I'd like to, again, thank Greg and also Rob and Mike. I'm trying to get the shot set up. If you can do that for me, Mike. There we go. I was going to try to have all of us on there, and the one you do the closing one. There we go. With me larger, so I can just make sure that I'm. There we go. There we go. Thank you very much. My producer, Mike LaPierre. I wish we had his voice in on this because it's a little hard to get that interplay when he's behind the scenes. I can't see him. He's got the controls on his end. I got the controls on my end, but. I am really, really thank you so much, Greg, for sharing your time with us today. You are
Absolutely.
a master builder and enthusiast extraordinaire. And
if anyone wants to stop in at Skidmark Garage, I'm always here.
I would definitely welcome anyone's comment and feedback about the show that he's doing there through Skidmark, also the Crawford thing. Make sure you give Greg some feedback on that. If there's some reasons, logistics, Greg and I talked about that. Maybe there's logistics why people don't want to bring their bikes, or maybe they're concerned about liability or things like that, insurance. So reach out to him. It's a really great opportunity. I'm going to bring the show to a close. I want to thank our viewers and again, the people behind the scenes, and again, our guest. It's been really an enjoyable hour and a half plus, and I learned a lot, and we will see you on the next show. Bye, everyone.
Great show.